What is going on YouTube? Hannah back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we have quite a bit of important things to discuss. Probably one of the more important episodes than I've made in 2020. Basically, what we're going to be going into is discussing obviously the XRP chart, the Bitcoin chart, Ethereum, Litecoin, as well as an article posted by, I believe it's News BTC, in regards to the fact that Ripple's XRP struggles after explosive price rally and bigger losses are likely to come as we move into 2020. There's also some interesting movements on the current coin market cap I'd like to show. The fact is Bitcoin is breaking below $8,000, which could mean that we are still in a bear market and we could still be heading lower. Obviously, there are certain things that I'd like to address on the channel moving forward in regards to shorting, buying long, leveraging, things of that nature. But otherwise, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and let's jump into today's episode. So, as you guys know, yesterday in the past couple of episodes, I've been fairly bearish on the market. I feel like that most of you guys are aware of this, and I'm more of a long-term bearish in regards for the next month or two, and then seeing a consolidation period, and then starting to move back up as we head towards May, the 2020 halving for Bitcoin. That's kind of my game plan, but we did see quite a bit of hiccups yesterday in the past couple of days that a lot of people are actually thrilled about. I'm thrilled that we saw that Bitcoin price shoot up, but I don't want this to be some sort of bear trap for you guys in realization that we could be actually heading lower, and it could be like a false alarm that, you know, we could still be in a downtrend. I mean, it's very possible a new bull market could be starting, but I do want to just give you guys my claims, my analysis, my vision as to what's going on, obviously letting you guys figure out what's best for you in regards to whether you should short or buy long the market, and obviously leverage trade it on the way. But in regards to the movement, that's what we're going to be specifically focusing on. Obviously, there are a few key factors and key points I do want to discuss in regards to higher lows being set, as well as with XRP currently taking a major correction to the downside right after the immediate bull run that we had, breaking out of the ascending triangle that was forming. But before we dive into that, I do just want to look at this, article. This will kind of set the tone for the rest of today's video. As we do know, the third largest crypto by market cap plunged about 4.5% Tuesday. The losses came as a correction to an explosive price rally that we did see. And I absolutely love when I see charts reflect basically my technical analysis. News BTC almost identical in regards to my technical analysis chart, that we're in a major descending triangle, and we did have this small XRP I'd say 4-hour ascending triangle that did break bullish, and we did head up higher. You can see that's clearly reflected right here that we do have the massive downtrend. We do have this downtrend, and within the 4-hour ascending triangle, we broke bullish, currently retesting resistance, and ultimately could be heading to lower levels that you guys should be prepared for. Obviously, heading down to here, and then even lower. This is more of a short-term outlook. Like I said, maybe January, February, and then March, April, May, we could start to anticipate a rally back to the upside, making some new highs for 2020. That's ultimately what I'm expecting. You can see basically that they are referring to the fact that we are hitting resistance zones on XRP's chart, very similar to what we've seen in the past, and this will most likely continue to head us lower and lower down to where they're calling 17 cents. I think more or less 16 cents, but we'll obviously see where that moves down to. And the downside risks in Ripple XRP is basically Bitcoin growing prominence as a haven, and the controversy surrounding Ripple Labs are among the challenges that could hamper XRP's latest upside run. Now, I do think they are kind of separate in regards to XRP and Ripple's movements right now, but obviously, as we can see, we did see a fully correct retracement, and it's obviously, as people are saying, not the greatest thing to have on the coin, and it was honestly expected. As I dive into the technical analysis, the current coin market cap shows that we are seeing the correction today as the massive uptrend starts to correct lower. We're starting to see some red in the market right here with Bitcoin. It says 8,007, but I believe we dropped even lower than that very recently. It's now at 829, but on Coinbase we're actually below 8,000 at $7,900, and I do believe we're actually going to head lower than that too. But with Ethereum and all the other cryptos, are kind of down about 3 to maybe even 4% on the market. The dip is finally starting to happen. So what do I want to show you guys within XRP, and then we'll dive into Bitcoin, because I do believe these are the two most important factors to discuss, especially when we do short and long the cryptocurrency on Dudex. Obviously, ton of you guys are taking advantage of this, and I actually had a ton of you guys on Patreon DM me personally saying that you made out quite a bit off the run, given the fact that you can leverage trade this, which basically is a huge opportunity, and that's what I'm trying to present you guys with, opportunities to make money. Obviously, there are some high risks, and when leverage trading, there are risks involved. Definitely do your due diligence and your work, and figure out what's the best plan for you. Some people I know are doing 50 times leverage, which is honestly very risky. But if you know what you're doing, or you want to take that risk and you have money to kind of invest, then, play around with it. But, you got to do your due diligence and your risk involved. The money that I have in here, I already have accepted as a loss. So if I do end up losing it, I'm okay and comfortable with that loss. But obviously, to discuss XRP, what are we looking at? So a couple days ago, I made a video in regards to this massive descending triangle that has been on the coin since 2017. It's beautiful. It's huge. It's here to stay, and it's not going away. This is a massive resistance it's been on the market for pretty much 3 years now, and it's not going to stop until we see some sort of confirmation above that. And I don't think that's going to happen until we hit some sort of rock bottom, some sort of basic bottom level that will ultimately induce and entice volume to be coming back in. A break above the resistance will ultimately send us up. So when I saw the little dip and correction that we had, which was about a 10% run, obviously, if you guys wanted to leverage off of that, you could make quite a bit, but these are high risk trades. Like I said, I'm a conservative trader, so ultimately the second we shot back up was the second we corrected back down. So if you got in and you sold off at the top, that's great, but most people probably didn't, and they're currently facing all the losses of it correcting back down, and you're probably up maybe 1 to 2% max. So these are very high risk trades, but it was anticipated for numerous reasons. It is in regards to the fact that we are still below the downtrend, and that's the biggest focus. We are still within resistance that any sort of play, and I've drawn it out so many times, any sort of movement between here is expected. Obviously, money can be made off these runs, but it's very tight, and it's very timed, and it's very quick and rapid, and you could lose a lot just as quickly. A lot of FOMO buyers probably didn't actually catch the run, and they bought in on the rally up, and if you bought in even halfway through, you're actually taking losses right now if you didn't sell. So it's a very risky play. But ultimately, moving forward, what I'm anticipating to happen is more consolidation, more sideways movement, something along the lines of this that I showed, and then eventually seeing that break that we're all anticipating as we move into mid-year of 2020. So expect to see more consolidation. Honestly, I could expect to see a correction back down to 16, maybe 17 cents before we see any real major price movement up to 30 cents, 40, 50, 60, 70, $1, $2, $3. Expect to see these lows on a short, long-term scale. That's kind of what I want to mean. Maybe the next 2 or 3 months is what I consider short-term, and then the rally long-term into the end of 2020, mid-2020. We could expect to see major highs or major price movements that pretty much would set all-time highs for the year of 2020. Now, I want to continue off of Bitcoin. This is what we've been focusing on for quite some time. I made a post on Patreon, for those of you who have me on Patreon, in regards to where we were moving to. There's a couple of interesting things here. I kind of cleaned up the charts for today's video. You guys can clearly see we've had an uptrend on the coin since January. Mid-end of January, we had this uptrend. And it's been holding quite well, and then eventually we did scale away from it and then found some sort of bearish fractal that pushed us back down. And then we noticed the first retestment in November, end of November of 2019. We started to see that this was a support, a continued support at that. And then we continued to trade off that. When we saw the first correction below it, the first dip below it, I anticipated that we were going to head back down, and it was a pump fake. We immediately corrected back above here, and then we continued to trade sideways, ultimately forming some sort of symmetrical triangle, as beautifully shown right here. You can see this is the bottom support and the top resistance. We got sandwiched in between here. And then, once again, another pump fake, expecting to see that correction back down to support. We actually did the opposite, pump fake, and then we shot all the way back up. Beautiful, amazing, but it's something to consider. With this happening, not only did we set a higher low, which is great to see, a higher low. You can see right here the low is higher than the previous one, which could have stemmed that a new bull market could be happening. And then what really was the icing on the cake was when we saw, obviously, the break above the resistance. That shot us back up. But there's clear resistance at the high-low MMA. What we have to reference is the previous time we got entangled in here and we broke bearish from here and we fell to an immediate bottom support, which could happen here. We could expect to see the movement upwards right here, and then that immediate dip as we see previously, or something, along the lines of this movement, similar to what we saw back in October into November. A movement like this, where we could just immediately scale back down and drop into 5,000 before then starting the new 2020 run into May of the halving. But ultimately, the one thing you guys really do have to consider, and I don't want to be like a FUD buster in any sort of way, but we are still setting lower highs, and that's something we really have to be careful with and pay attention to. In regards to the fact that we've had a high in June of 2019, July, August, we've had October, and now we have once again January. You can see every single time we're setting a new low, which could mean that we could be heading lower. Ultimately, we are waiting for a break in pattern. What we're looking for is another correction. So what we're expecting to see, and obviously now is probably a good time to short because I don't think we're going to be rallying up anytime soon now, is a correction back down to support here and another retest. If we can retest off of here and we shoot up higher, this is going to be the ultimate factor that we did start a new bull run, we started a new bull market, and we're going to be heading higher. What a movement like this will ultimately do, something like this, is do two things. Not only will it confirm that we're setting higher lows, we'll have one, we'll have two, and then this will be the third right here. We'll also be showing that we are now setting higher highs, I believe that is the term. You can see this is a higher high than the previous high, if this is making sense. I know it can get complicated, but just follow along. And you can see the pattern would then continue in such where we would have something along the lines of this, where we would continue downwards, we'd hit here, we'd shoot back up, then come back down, rally slightly lower, and then come back up higher. And we would see this sort of drifting moment where we're setting higher lows each time, while also setting higher highs each time, ultimately setting us into a bullish pattern to the upside compared to what we saw practically half the year of 2019, which was lower lows and lower highs every single time, ultimately sending this bearish fractal. There's still that chance that we could break bearish back down into the fractal. We could see movement like this. We could see another retest of 5,400. I know a lot of people don't want to think that, but we've seen it in the past where we thought we broke out of here, we thought we sent a reversal happening, and then we immediately spiraled back down. This is a huge resistance, the high-low MMA right here, and you can see we are having quite a bit of trouble closing the candle above here. So there's still that chance that if history repeats itself, we're going to see another correction lower. So ultimately, what we're paying attention to is whether or not we see a bounce off of here and a new high set. But obviously, the money that can be made during this time is in regards to the fact that we were extremely overbought. We are starting to correct back down. We'll most definitely be retesting the top of the high-low MMA, which is currently following that uptrend. So I can see a very small short. If you guys want to make money off of this, obviously set your scales on Dudex, obviously some stop losses too, to obviously control the profit if we do decide to reverse back to the upside. Expect to see this fall slightly lower. Where is it? Right here. We could honestly anticipate a drop from the top all the way back down to support, which is about 12%. If we continue from right now, about a 7.5%. If we leverage this on Dudex and we short it, we can make probably quite a bit more if we do that leverage right there, and it would make quite a bit of profit. So there's a very high chance right after this video I'm going to put in a short because I am anticipating consolidation all the way back down to 74. It's a great time to be buying in off the dip to the downside. I do expect a lower move. We're also retesting overbought now, or we just got rejected from overbought on the high-low MMA. So there's a very high chance. Let's say we don't break back down into the descending fractal. We're at least going to come back down and start playing around with the uptrend once again. Something along the lines of this is expected. If we see that break, that's awesome. We could expect to see something like this back into here. we could see something like this. This is a possibility. So consider setting your stop losses once you get back down to here, maybe a little bit higher up in case we do decide to start moving back up. But honestly, there's a very high chance we could be breaking down inside of here if we don't see a change in the pattern, because these lower highs are something to not mess around with. And this once again completes that pattern. Still, we're not breaking that. Yes, we did complete the lower high or the higher low right here, but we still need to see that confirmation, and we haven't seen that just yet. So I feel confident enough with putting that short in right now. Obviously, we did have some negativity before. I did miss out on a run, but like I say, I'd rather miss out on a run than lose everything, putting in and then canceling it, if you know what I'm saying. Obviously, the short did get liquidated. I didn't really lose that much money because I am playing around with a small amount. And honestly, I'm just showing you guys this is a mere hobby in regards to the amount of money. I'm not putting in my rent. It's just money that I can play around with and kind of learn the market and learn the trends, and I'm showing you guys how to do that with me. Obviously, take advantage of this, though. I really do love Dudex's exchange, and I know they're going to be adding XRP, so do expect more to come with that. Obviously, the first link is in the description, and they do offer bonuses for those of you wanting to mess around with it, too. I highly recommend it. Check it out. Set it up. But otherwise, that's going to wrap up today's episode. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.